Chapter 6. Basil sees the portrait. The years passed, and the picture of Dorian Gray grew more and more ugly. Dorian himself looked exactly as he did when he was 20. There were rumors that Dorian did horrible things and went to horrible places, but no one knew for sure if they were true. Lord Henry was still his closest friend, and he and Dorian threw famous parties at Dorian's beautifully decorated house, with famous musicians and beautiful women. Dorian became interested in everything which made life beautiful on the outside. Jewels, perfume, fine cloth, gold, silver. But he would go to the room at the top of his house every once in a while to see how he would look if his true character showed on his face. Dorian had become selfish and irresponsible. He did not care about the consequences of his behavior because he always looked young and beautiful. He lost many friends, and there were many people who hated him. But there were also those who thought he was some kind of modern hero. He was rich and handsome, and the wild stories people told about him seemed exciting, if they were true. But the picture, locked in the room at the top of his house, changed with every one of Dorian's cruel or selfish acts. It was a portrait of a man who looked much older than Dorian Gray. Dorian was now almost 38, but the man in the picture had thin grey hair. His face was wrinkled and his body looked old and weak. Dorian would hold a mirror up to his face when he went to look at the picture. His eyes were still bright with youth. His hair was thick and golden. It did not matter what the picture looked like, he thought. It was how he looked in the mirror and how he looked to others that mattered most. The night before Dorian's 38th birthday was cold and foggy. Dorian was walking home at around 11 o'clock when he passed Basil Hallward in the street, coming from Dorian's house.
Dorian, I'm so glad I've caught you. I went to your house, but your butler told me you were out. I'm on my way to the train station. I'm going to Paris for 6 months, and I wanted to see you before I left.
Dorian was not happy to see Basil, but he invited him back to his house for a drink before he left. Basil took off his hat and coat and put them on his travelling bag by the front door.
Dorian, what are all these rumors about you? People don't want to be seen with you. They say you have destroyed the lives of many young men and women. You have a negative influence on people, and you encourage them to do evil things.
People talk about others because they have something to hide themselves. No one is good in England. They just pretend to be. People do what they want with their lives. I am not the influence.
I want to believe you, Dorian. And I know it must be true. If you did all these things people say, it would show on your face. Men's faces and bodies grow old and ugly when they live such lives. But look at you. You are young and beautiful. But I came here tonight to see your soul. Show me your soul, Dorian. Make me believe you are good and not evil, and that people are spreading lies about you.
Dorian laughed at Basil. He laughed at all the world. Why shouldn't someone know my secret, he thought, especially Basil, the painter of the portrait.
Do you really want to see my soul, Basil? Come, I will show it to you.
Dorian took a lamp from a table and walked Basil to the room at the top of his house. He stood before the purple and gold-colored curtain.
You think only God can see a man's soul. Now you can see mine.
He pulled the curtain away. Basil suddenly looked shocked. He fell back into a chair and hid his face in his hands. Dorian was standing, smelling the flower he had pinned on his coat.
Basil, do you remember a wish I made the day you painted this?
Oh, I remember. Oh God, how I remember.
The painter looked up at him.
Dorian, it's not too late. We can pray for forgiveness. I am to blame too.
It's too late.
It's not.
A flash of hatred ran through Dorian's body. He looked at the picture, and it was as if the picture told him what to do. He picked up a knife off a table and ran at Basil. Basil still had his head down. He did not see Dorian raise his arm in the air, and he did not have time to look up before Dorian brought the knife down on his neck.